Well, thank you, everybody. Hi, everyone. I'm Nick Glass. I am the founder and executive director of TeachingBooks, and really delighted to be here. This was going to be my first trip through the state of Virginia. I was all excited with this idea of going around the state and meeting you all. I really appreciate your willingness to meet this way. I am in California in the San Francisco area, and really honored to share the work that I've been doing for 20 some odd years, which is to equalize access to materials about authors and books. I started teaching books with a dream of what happens if every reader can meet the author the moment they're reading a book. I was just talking to one of your colleagues who said that Jason Reynolds came to her school. And I'm like, that's fantastic, but why can't everybody have Jason Reynolds there when they're reading one of his books or whatever book they're reading? And that's what we're enabling. And so over the next little bit, what you're going to get from TeachingBooks and from this session are these sentiments. I really want you to feel that you have in your back pocket as a librarian an incredible tool that can collaborate with teachers, that can enrich a student's relationship to a book like that, that can get the family engaged with the reading process by giving them, let's say, a video book trailer about the book that the student is reading and sending that home or emailing it and so forth. And always it's about honoring your time and the time of everybody in this busy, busy world to put in one place all the resources that change your relationship to the text. So that's what we're going to cover. Probably the best thing that I can suggest with every virtual session that I lead is to ask you to follow along. There's access there. I'll also put it in the chat box. It's teachingbooks.net/vassal. And if you go there, teachingbooks.net/VAASL, if you go to that website, you just put in your email address, and then if you have been in, we'll put you in. If you haven't, you'll fill out a profile. You'll have unlimited access to the site for a while. I forget till exactly the date, but you got plenty of time to play and learn and use it. But more so during this, you'll be able to see what we're doing and then try it yourself. Because if we can take the expertise that I have, because I know TeachingBooks really well, I created it, but with your knowledge of the things you're thinking about, you're like, oh, I'm not interested in long way down. I'm interested in click, clack, move. Great, go to it. And so this is a pre-K through 12 resource. And again, I encourage all of you to be signing in and going through the process as we do. So with that said, are there any questions? I'm just going to check the chat. And you're also always welcome to turn on your microphone if you have a question as well. But I will keep checking the chat and having little pause breaks. But what I'm really excited about doing is helping you see a power you might not have known you have, which is to deepen every reading experience that's happening around books in your school and to support your library work in a way that you might not have seen. So again, thank you for taking the time. TeachingBooks.net is an online resource service about the books and authors that are being read. We really don't have books. We have resources around the very books that you're already using. So here you have 240. We're going to hit probably tomorrow or sometime next week. We're going to hit 250,000 resources. I'm just going to change that to say 250,000 resources on our site. That's incredible. We started with one. It was a movie I made with Arthur Geisert, an illustrator. And but you'll see here that there's resources for children and teens as well as for adults and educators. This resource is for anybody using books. So let's say that you were using a book and someone already suggested Long Way Down, but you're welcome to put into the chat box any book that's being taught in your school or that you're using in a reading program or in your library that circulates. I'd love books that matter to you to search, so just chat those in. I'll be looking and using those. But I'm going to start by searching for Long Way Down. Jason Reynolds, the author, lives in the Washington, D.C. area, in D.C. itself, actually. And here you have the resources about this book. What that means is there's 79 total resources about this text. It's won 19 awards. You have some features here right away, like let's have the author here talking about why he wrote it. Okay, let's do that. So right now, wherever you are, you can have the author introducing the text.
Hi, everybody. This is Jason Reynolds, the author of Long Way Down. I'm going to tell you a bit about how I came to write this book, and then I'll share a short excerpt with you. Long Way Down is interesting. I've been trying to figure out how to write a novel in verse, or if I wanted to write a novel in verse. And this story had been sort of knocking around my head for a while. I unfortunately was a young person who experienced the loss of a dear friend, the loss of many friends, but the loss of one really dear friend to gun violence. And I wanted to write a book to talk about not just gun violence and not just the problem with it, but more so about how human it is to be angry as a child and how we don't want to discuss that pain and the trauma, especially when it comes to loss.
So you'll see that you're going to get a few minutes. This is 2 minutes and 54 seconds. So we interview authors every day and we ask them, you've got a minute in a classroom. What do you want your readers to know? How can we help that? And then can you introduce and read a little bit of the book? And so that's something that we have. We do that with thousands of titles. And so you can look up a book, you'll get that. You'll get, you scroll down here to the different types of resources, you'll see that there's lesson plans and there's book readings and book trailers and vocabulary lists. So if I click on the book trailer, for example, then you're going to have another way to introduce the text, right?
My name is Jason Reynolds, the author of
So here
Long
you
Way
get to see
Down.
him in this
Long
instance.
Way Down is a novel that is told in verse about a young man who's 15 years old named.
So here you have 3 minutes of that as a way to introduce the text. So it's resources for whatever books are being read. Are there any books? Anybody want to suggest one? Feel free. There's a very famous Virginia author right now who wrote the book The Crossover. And I picked this to try to introduce something that's kind of fun on our site, which is our author name pronunciation. How do you get to learn? You're trying to humanize reading for each reader. If my premise is that if I can feel closer to the book, I'll read it more deeply. I'll understand it more. I'll feel, I might even finish the book. I might have more connections to it, whether I'm the student, the teacher, the parent, the administrator who's picking the books, anybody. And so if I can introduce the author, right, and have a photograph of the author, that can make a real difference. And so here, how do you say this person's name? So I asked him, and it's kind of very fun, I think. So I'll play this for a minute.
Hi, my name is Kwame Alexander. It may be a little difficult. It's a name that comes from Ghana, a West African country, and it means born on Saturday. I'll tell you a little secret. I was born on Wednesday. I asked my parents, what were you thinking? Anyway, I love the name. It's really cool. And when I got married, I told the preacher, because I didn't want him to mess up my name when he got to that really important part, you know? And so I said, look, think of the word Swami, a Swami, but with a K, Kwame. So he got up there and he said, do you, salami, take this? And I said, really? And then he kind of caught himself and he said, do you, pastrami? Oh, my goodness. Look, people, it's Kwame Alexander. Don't forget it. Kwame.
And the thing that's very funny is I can vouch that that's actually true. I met someone who went to his wedding and affirmed for me that that actually happened. And so a way to humanize reading. So you can look up an author. Maybe you're familiar with the book Lightning Thief, for example, and the Percy Jackson series, right? How do you say this person's name? So you can just ask people, how do you say it? So we asked him, and then you get to learn.
Hi, my name is Rick Riordan, long I, like in rye bread.
We even have here a name game. So you can click on that and you can kind of pick various different names. You might know John Sheska rhymes with Fresca. He's kind of the most famous of those. Kevin Henkes, right? Neil Gaiman, Cornelia Funke. And one of my favorites to play, and I'll just play this one and then I'll stop, is I ask people, do you think it's Maya Angelou or Maya Angelou? And I was blessed to get to ask her, and you'll find out. But ask yourself beforehand, is it Angelo or Angelou? Now that you've voted.
Hello, my name is Maya Angelou. It's a very beautiful name. I know. I mean, I like it. I was born with the name Marguerite Johnson.
So this is a library. TeachingBooks is a library about whatever book you're reading. And so we're going to try to enrich whatever that text is. So you can look up a single title. I can look up a topic. I can say I'm just right now thinking about, inventors. And so I can do that and I can get a list of all books that have inventors in a subject. And so then you're going to have 229 of those. I can then do filtering on the left side to hone in and say we're right now focused only on pre-K through 2. And we treat cultural area, by the way, the same as grade and curricular area and genre in our library. And so I can say, I just want ones that are about African-American inventors. And then I can say, fabulous, I want this one about Patricia Bath. And now I'm going to have the resources for that. You have a description of it if you're unfamiliar with the text. So then you get some insights about that. You get lesson plans, discussion guides, video book trailers, or whatever resources we have for it, right? And so it's a library of materials about whatever books matter to you. So did anyone chat a title? No, if you would like to chat a book for me to look up, that always helps. Otherwise, I'm just making them up and sharing, but I want to make sure it's about you. So you can look up a specific book, you can look up an author. Maybe you're doing an author study. A lot of elementary schools in particular do author studies. So maybe you're studying Patricia Polacco. A lot of people like to do author studies with her, or Kevin Henkes, or Eric Carle, or many. So we have all these materials. One of the neat things we've done for many authors is we've gone into their homes and filmed them. So now picture you're in an elementary school and you want to introduce the author. Well, here's a movie that's going to show, in this case, there's the original Keeping Quilt. So I'll just play a little bit of that for a second.
People will ask me, how is it that you came to be a children's book writer? And I have to say, it's because of the incredible storytellers that I came from. When you're raised by people who, just at the drop of anything, manufacture an incredible story, you're doomed. You're going to be...
I'll stop at that. But the idea is then you have a few minutes there, you have her introducing Thank You, Mr. Fokker, or Thundercake, or others. And so then you have this. So this is this library of resources. Oh, thank you. People gave me some titles. So I'm reading To Kill a Mockingbird. So you type in To Kill a Mockingbird. And then you can get all of those materials. I did not interview Harper Lee. I asked many times. But one thing that we do have now is if you're interested in a text and if there's a graphic version, or you want to help someone learn, maybe this book isn't the best one for certain students, this will then at least inform you that there is a graphic version of this text, right? That maybe you knew about or maybe you didn't. And then you can even preview it and see what that looks like in the preview. So you can actually get a feel for what is that going to be like. So you have here the book, the resources for whatever book you're after. So we have here book trailers, where vocabulary lists are really powerful. What makes our vocabulary list so distinctive and useful is that it comes from our premise. Our premise is we're trying to use technology to change your relationship with the book. And how can we do vocabulary differently? Well, one thing we can do is we can give you the word and the example sentence in which it's used. We can give you also a live dictionary to go through for more information about that particular word. And so we put all of those together into this. So when you're on your vocabulary list on TeachingBooks, it's very different. And then, of course, we have all the lessons and book trailers and audio performances and so forth. So let me look up one other book. Someone else gave me one. Thank you. So I can look up False Prints. And so then here you're going to have this, and you're going to get to learn how to say the author's name. And then you also have audio excerpts. So one of the things we've done is we've built read-along audio performances so that we can reach different readers. Everybody's different, and everybody is different. Some people are really good at hearing and learning just through the ear. I personally like to hear and see simultaneously.
If I had to do it all over again, I would not have chosen this life. Then again, I'm not sure I ever had a choice. These were my thoughts as I raced away from the market, with a stolen roast tucked under my arm. I'd never attempted roast thievery before, and I was already regretting it. It happens to be very difficult to hold a chunk of raw meat while running, more slippery than I'd anticipated. If the butcher didn't catch me with his cleaver first.
So you get a little sound of the text. You also can translate it. Everything on our site is meant to be we're an equity tool. So how do we change this for whatever book you need in whatever technology? We'll show you the technology integrations in a few minutes, but we also want to reach different readers. So in this case, I translated it to Vietnamese. We have 109 different languages that you can change these to. But the power of that is that we now can remember, oh, we have 2 kids in our class that speak Vietnamese. Let's all think about that and remember what that's like, or what is their experience like, or if they're sending that home to their family and the parents only speak Vietnamese, and then they can join it and join understanding what the child's relationship to the False Prince book is about. So all of that is super important. So I can go to Stamped, someone asked for one other book, and then I'll show you I'll use this as a tool to take you to the next phase, which is about sharing. But I wanted you to see, yes, of course, we called Jason Reynolds, asked him why he wrote the book. We have the audio excerpt. We also have an amazing blog post that we did with Jason, where every month we have authors write for us various themes that they think educators would like to know. And in this case, he's talking about voice. And it's really an incredible, very brief. It's only that long. It's 6 paragraphs long or something, but it's just him talking about how vital it is to think about voice in a culturally responsive way. Really a wonderful, wonderful piece. So we have all these pieces. So this is the resources about books. So do you understand that? So do you get that this is a library of resources around whatever books you're using? Now I want to take you to what I think is the most powerful thing, and that is that how you give it to everybody in your community. In the library, I view your position, and I've never been a school librarian, but I view your position as one that's kind of the disseminator of all things books and literacy to all your teachers and students and families, and you're always advocating for that in a beautiful way. And so what I wanted to do was build a tool to give you that, to empower you with that. So you hit shared. You see on the right side under the book cover image, there's an arrow. It says share this page. So now I can share this and immediately give these resources on this particular title right to anybody I want in any of these systems. So if you're using Schoology or Canvas, you can embed the link right into that. If you're using Google Classroom, you put it right into that. If you want to just send home a bookmark to everybody, sure, then send that home. And if any of you have a phone, I'll hold this for a second. If any of you have a phone, scan the QR code right now through the Zoom. It will work, I think. I'll make it a little larger in case there's a slight issue. But then you can scan it and you will be right there, and you can now listen to the recordings and access everything about this particular book. It used to be you had to kind of tell everybody, you go to TeachingBooks, you sign in, here's your username and password. No, that's all gone. All you do now is immediately give everybody whatever resource they need. So that's super powerful. So for any book or any resource, maybe you just wanted everybody to have the audio excerpt of this book, so you can take that, you can embed that right into Google Classroom. It will be waiting for anybody in an assignment. You can say, listen to this and write about your opinion about the voice of the text. Great. When you're back in school, if you guys are back in your libraries already, you can even build shelf talkers. So literally for every audio and video file that talks on our site, there's a way to just build a little card, and it looks just like this. And again, you can translate that. So if you have some students that only speak Arabic, then put a few in your library that are Arabic. Why not? Still has the book cover in English, right? But when they click on it, it's just going to keep reminding, and it's going to build that depth for whatever book is going on. So TeachingBooks is a tool that's trying to deepen and connect and enrich every single one of you to whatever book that you're after. So you look up the title and you go from there. You also can align our resources to sets of titles. So probably a lot of you are familiar with the Virginia's Reader's Choice Awards, and we have this year's and we have next year's already for you too. I don't know when the voting is, if it's happened yet or not. I'm not sure where you are in the process, but I'm just going to pick, we haven't talked much about high school, so I'm going to pick high school here, but you can pick any of them. And so here you're going to have all 10 titles, 8 lesson plans, 10 videos, 9 book readings, 120 resources, all ready to go for the very titles that you're already selected, right? So I have one link, and then you can embed that onto your website. You can share it, you can email it, you can send home a bookmark to every student, right? Remember these same tools. I'm scaffolding my lesson. I'm showing the foundationals and building upon it, right? As I'm trying to show you how this works. And so here you have the bookmark, you send that home, boom, everybody automatically has access to these materials. You email it to all your families because the sharing tool has email, you send that off as well. So again, if you're signed in to teachingbooks.net/Vassal, you're now an authorized user. You can then do everything I'm showing you. If you're not signed in, you won't be able to. So I set up an account, and I encourage all of you to follow along and try. And again, that link is teachingbooks.net/VAASL. And I'm just going to type that into the chat box again so you can try it. It'll make a huge difference for your experience with understanding this by actually experiencing it. There's nothing here you could have expected because there's so much depth to all these things. But when you build a resource that's designed as an equity tool to break down every barrier about reading that you can, to deepen everyone's relationship to the text, that's what you have here. So you can build your own list as well. I could say I'm just right now building a list on, I want all your graphic books. I'm right now focused on all the graphic novels. So I'll go to our graphic collection. So here's almost 3,000 of those. Then I'm going to filter that down. I'm focused right now on nonfiction for my very young kids. So I'm going to do pre-K through 2. I'm going to do genre of nonfiction. And then I also want ones that's good there. So I have these 7 titles. These are our graphic nonfictions on poop, on worms, on snails, fabulous, on fish. I love it. So then I'm going to build a list on that. And I can take the ones that are actually in my library, which were just these 3. And now I have my list of graphic books for nonfiction preschool, right? Whatever. And now I'm going to have one link that's going to have those 3 titles and all the resources for them already collected. You can build any list any way you want all the time. Anytime you're doing a search, there's always a plus. You can start a new list. You can do a search and just say, I'm just thinking about biographies. Great. You know, or you can just say, we're just studying or this right now on biographies. It's Women's History Month. So I'm going to, next month is American Indian Heritage Month. I'll do that just for different sake. And so I'm pull up all my American Indian biographies. Then I can go to my grade levels and I can pick what I want, or I can just say, I only want the books that have won awards. And so I can pick those to clear out some of the fluff, if you will, or the ones that weren't authorized by others. And then I can go down here even further and I can say just which ones of these have lesson plans. I just want to, we're focused on lesson plans. So now these 31 titles are biographies about American Indians that have book guides that won awards, right? And then I can build that list if I want and so forth, and then share and disseminate it. This is the world of children's and young adult books in one place for you. So a few more things I want to highlight for you are, if you go into the area for educators, you'll see at the top of the screen, there's a box that says for educators. And these are the tools that will be really powerful for you. So you can look up any book and share. Obviously, that's great. And this library is there. It's kind of like if someone comes into your library, you can go to that. But we're trying to help you go well beyond that. We want to make sure you have the tools to be successful in your work. So I showed you some of the things, for example, on book promotion, that they're the QR code shelf talkers, or if you want labels, or you want to share, we've got all these tools to help you with that. We also have a whole area on library programming. Some of you might be doing book clubs. Fabulous. Then you can go through that and you can pick what it is you'd like to do with the book club, or what book you're reading, and then have all the resources. Maybe you want to focus on story time, and you could go to see what are the options for story time that TeachingBooks is providing. Let me scroll up a little bit so you can see that a little better. And you can see here that there's all different things, video book trailers, or I'm going to choose readers theater scripts. So I can now go and say, for story time, because some kids might be home and some might be in the classroom, let's just put on the screen the script and we're going to do a readers theater performance. And I'm in middle school, so I'm going to pick 4 to 8. And I want to focus on the Latinx community. What do you have? And then I'll see here, oh, wow, I love Esperanza Rising. Let's do that. So then when you click on Esperanza Rising, you'll know that there's a readers theater script here for you. So I can then click onto the readers theater script. We now have that resource right now, ready to go. Here are the different parts. I assigned them, and then here we go. And I put that on the screen, and we start reading it, and forward we go with it, right? And so it's just another form of all the ways to think about enriching your relationship to the books. Library programming is super rich. When you're working with your ELA teachers, which is a huge part of your job, I'm sure, to collaborate and work with everybody. Now you have here ways to think in terms of comprehension, or early childhood, or standards connections, because we know literacy belongs in every content area. How can we help ensure that everybody who's thinking about social emotional learning actually is thinking about the CASEL standards? and being able to implement those around reading, right? Or they're thinking about PE. Absolutely, there's physical education standards. So we're trying to give you all that, but then what you do is you can share that. So you can take the math standards and literacy and math and how they go together for the National Council of Teachers and Mathematics Standards. You hit share. Remember, there's always a share page, and you email that to your math teachers and say, here, courtesy of our library, enjoy, thank you. Let me know how I can help, right? And so it's going to keep building that community around books and reading in a way you might not have known. And the very last thing I'm going to touch on in terms of content here is our diverse books toolkit. Ever since I began, my degree is in history of multicultural education, and I've been studying diverse pedagogy forever, since the 90s. And what I wanted to build here was a way that everybody could honor everybody else's culture. So that's why we've interviewed, for example, all of these incredible diverse authors. We've interviewed everybody that's pretty much won the Coretta Scott King Book Award, or the Pura Belpré, or the Schneider, or you know, many American Indian Library Association, Asian Pacific Awards, and so forth. So for these 5,700 books, we actually have the authors here talking to you. Pretty incredible. So they can now be here for you. And again, you would just pick the book, you would then have the resource and then share it in whatever manner you wish. Does that make sense? So you can search, you can browse, you can use the tools. And there's so much more that we're not going to get to in this session. The last thing I want to cover is how licensing works, because this is available for everybody, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that. So first off, when you go click on pricing, to show you how I got to this, I clicked on the word pricing when you're signed in. And there's many versions. Again, because we're an equity tool, there's always the free version. You're always welcome to come and use this. You can get 4 resources a month just for you to use. You can't share it or anything else, but that's the free version. If you were just buying it just for you, literally just for your professional edification and not your students and not your teachers, we have a license for that, because there's some people that need that. But all of you work in a school environment. So we sell district and school-wide licenses, and those come with integrations into Clever and ClassLink for sign-on. They come with into Google Classroom, into Schoology and Canvas and other learning management systems. They're tied right into your Mac and VIA or your Follett if you're purchasing from Tidal Wave. All those integrations are built in for you. And so they're all here. If you wish to explore your district-wide pricing, it's much cheaper, because this is about ease of access and for equity. Everything I do is about equity, and we're never going to break a budget. So if you know your district people, please free to ask, send a request for a quote. The very last thing I want to point out is how we're tied into Chrome and Google. So if any of your kids have Chromebooks, you can just type in any topics. Maybe they're interested right now in voting. I don't know. So you can type in voting, and then you'd get the different books. It's automatically going to bring up titles, and then you can click on one and it would take you directly there, right? So for any single subject search that's being done in Google, I can go to Google and I can look up any topic. I can say right now I'm studying, Virginia, just the state of Virginia. I think you're Commonwealth. I'll just put Virginia and see what happens. But anyway, you type in Virginia, and then you're going to get all these different things. And so, but you can type in any term, it'll always bring that up. So if you want to try the Chrome extension, I'm just going to put the link in there. It's just teachingbooks.net/Chrome extension. It takes about 1 second to install, and then you have it. So that's what I wanted to cover for you. Are there any questions before we're about to be kicked out of here probably in a minute? But I hope you get a sense that TeachingBooks is really a powerful equity tool, and to enrich all of the reading that's happening in your schools from your library. And if you have any questions, my information is on the screen there. You're welcome to tweet or email or call. But thank you. Have fun playing on this service. It's like nothing you've ever seen, and it's meant to be truly an equity tool that enriches your relationship to whatever books are being read. So, thank you. Yes, TeachingBooks is available through Tidal Wave if you're a subscriber to TeachingBooks, and so that's how that works. Is it better to subscribe through your website? Yeah, it's the same price. I offer the same price. Yeah, order through us. It's easier, unless that's easier for you not to. Thank you. These are lovely words. I appreciate your questions here. You can order. We do allow Follett to resell. They take some of the percentage, which is fine. But if it's easier for you, I don't care. It's really about changing reading for everybody and getting the word out there. It's about the use that matters. So with the Chrome extension tied into your technologies and the sharing, you're going to have an unbelievable thing. For every list you're making, you can easily share those with everybody. Thank you so much, everybody, for your comments. It's really an honor to be here. And thanks again to Nathan and Michelle for everything here as well. So
that 30 minutes nailed. That was perfect. Like you had it down to the minute. Ideal. I had a quick question. When you share the resource out, like if you're sending a link,
yeah,
how do the parents access it? Like, is there a login that they have to have?
Comes with it. No, that's the power of it.
Okay.
So let's say you're interested in I don't know, what's another book. I just need something. I'm freezing. Button Up Buddy.
Yeah.
So you want to share this particular movie that we made with Chris Curtis. You want every family and student to watch that. So you click on share this page and you'll see everything you send using our sharing tools comes with authentication. If you were to give the link on top, they're going to be asked to sign in and it's going to stink. But that's why we built these tools. So this is all about that dissemination at an immediacy. So that's why I couldn't stand this idea of students trying to remember, what's my password? I don't remember. So we changed that whole system to this.
That's very handy. Thank you so much. We are done. That was short, but really informative. Thank you so much.
Of course. And I thank you all very much. I hope you all signed in and try it. And if you have any questions, and again, Michelle and Nathan and your whole group, really nicely organized. And it's my pleasure to be a part of this. Be well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Glass.
Of course.
Everyone, we've got a little break and then session 4 is going to be starting. I think the next session we have in here is, I don't have my sheet in front of me.
I can go to Shed if you want.
It's YA Society of something. I wrote the first 2 words in my notes.
I think I'm still sharing my screen, so I'll just go down.
I've got it pulled up in my browser. Thank you so much.
All right, well, I'll bow out then and let you do your thing. If anyone has any questions, reach out. It's nick@teachingbooks.net. And again, have fun. And Michelle and everyone, thank you again. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.